Banjo-Kazooie of Nintendo 64 at your door.
Hello, welcome to LTM Reviews and get you caught up on the oldest movies. Welcome back to the King Kong Marathon. I am back. And now let us move on to King Kong 2005. This was the movie that introduced me to Kong and introduced me to the story. The movie was directed by, of course, many people know Peter Jackson, who's fresh out of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Peter Jackson was a huge fan of Kong and wanted to make a movie and wanted to do a shot-for-shot remake of King Kong. Now, originally, according to Big Jack Films, he said that the movie was originally supposed to be like an Indiana Jones style movie, with a lot more giant monsters and an Indiana Jones style main character. But with the release of Mighty Joe Young and the 1998 Godzilla movie, that the original Kong film that Peter Jackson wanted to do got scrapped. But then once Lord of the Rings got done, but once the first Lord of the Rings came out, Peter Jackson came back to do his Kong movie while also doing the Lord of the Rings series. And that's when King Kong, the 2005 remake, went into production. And then the movie was released in 2005, and it was praised by critics and audiences alike, and consider it an improvement over the last two Kong movies, especially King Kong Lives. Though then again, people were still flattered that the fact that the movie was not as good as the original, but still say it was a good contender. I actually remember seeing this film when it first came out in theaters, and I saw it in the movie theater twice. The one time we got out of the theater because my sister was crying, and then I started crying, and then for majority of reasons, but that's not the point. I remember when this movie came out as a kid. I was really hyped, and that's what really got me into King Kong. So, with that said, what's this version like? So, it's pretty much the same as last time, except you got the main character, Carl Denham, played by Jack Black, who is looking for a place to shoot his movie. And she chooses this woman named, if you remember the other Kong movies, it's the same name, but I keep forgetting her name, but she's played by that one chick from, forget it. So they go to Skull Island, and they basically find out that it's filled with dinosaurs and monsters and creatures, especially with these Indians people that they worship called Kong. Kong takes Daryl, finally got her name right, Daryl, and then they end up bonding a relationship. But of course, Jack Black decides to take him back to New York. Kong goes on his rampage, and then Kong and Daryl start bonding again. Kong climbs up the Empire State Building, and then he ends up killing himself, and Jack Black ends the movie saying, it wasn't the beast that killed Beauty, it was Beauty that killed the beast, or whatever, something like that. And then the movie ends. Whew, kind of a long movie, don't you think? Okay, so what do I think of this movie? First of all, I just want to say, out of all the remakes and reboots of Kong, this one has to be my favorite, and I'll explain why. The reason why I think the King Kong 2005 movie I think is better is because of the fact that, one, it's nostalgic to me, and two, out of all the remakes I've seen, especially from Kong, this one is the one that seemed the most tribute, because you could really tell Peter Jackson really wanted to capture the original. So what do I like about the movie? Well, here's my facts. So what I like about King Kong 2000, really love about this movie is Kong himself in this one. Now, he is seen as just a normal giant gorilla, but they add more character and style to him. You could tell that Jackson really wanted to try something different with Kong while also trying to be a tribute. Kong is just a normal gorilla, giant-sized gorilla / monster, but they add more emotion to him, and all the movements on him and the CGI stuff looks fantastic. He's also voiced by Andy Serkis, who is also known for Gollum from Lord of the Rings, so that's really cool. And the other thing I like about this one is the fact that, there's more dinosaurs in it, and there's a really cool dinosaur scene. And it's much more well utilized and much better to watch than the one from the 76 remake. And it's really well done. There are a lot of scenes like that in this film. Jack Black's performance is fantastic. He really puts a lot of emotion and you can tell he's really trying to succeed in this film, and he does a really good job. I think the characters are much more utilized and much more well acted than the 76 movies, which they're not bad. It's not perfect, but it's still better than anything else. you could tell Peter Jackson was really trying to remake this story and make the characters develop a lot, so that's good. Now there is a downside to it though, and I think this is what many people complained about with the 2005 movie, is that much like Lord of the Rings, it's 3 hours long. It's way too long. There were some scenes and there were some moments that were really unneeded. Like the scene where they're on the boat, like I think most of the boat was just filler and just them trying to get to Skull Island and stuff like that and trying to figure out what this island was. And there was also scenes like Jack Black's character Carl Denham wanting to having a meeting about him going to Skull Island, and Daryl losing her job and stuff like and the girl losing her job and stuff like that. It just didn't. Some scenes just were not very needed, and I feel like if you would have lost those scenes as well as maybe shortened up the boat scenes, I think we could have been okay. But then again, the movie and it's not a problem because they at least give you character development. But the movie was just so long that I kind of got bored watching it. So I really wish the movie was a little bit shorter. Everything else though, like at least close to the top. Once Kong goes on his rampage, it does kind of slow down again. Like you have Kong and Aaron going around ice skating for a few minutes, and it's kind of boring. And I feel like that scene could have been cutted too. If you cut it to scenes where Anne loses her job, Carl Denham talking in this meeting, half of the boat scene, and the scene where Kong and ice skating, if you could have cut all those scenes, the movie could have been a little bit more shorter and it wouldn't be as boring. But because the movie is so but then again, it's Peter Jackson. I'm not going to complain. I will say the acting is very good. Like I said, Jack Black does a good job. The side characters are really fun to watch, even though technically their scenes are kind of pointless. And the person who did Anne does a really good job, and Andy Serkis does a great job as a Kong in person. Now, the soundtrack is really good too, though. Some scenes are a little bit, the cinematography is kind of weird. If you remember the scenes where they're meeting the natives and stuff like that, there are scenes where the camera starts acting very funny, like the camera's zooming, or the camera's like the pacing starts acting very slow and stuff like that. That's kind of distracting. So overall, I know I'm kind of all over the place with this one, but out of all the Kong remakes, this one has to be my favorite because of the technology, the acting, the casting, and the soundtrack itself. I do hate that the movie was too long, and then I do kind of end up skipping some scenes to get to mostly with the part with the island. But at the same time, it is kind of distracting. But overall, I enjoyed this movie, and it's a really good movie. Though the funny thing is, when I do watch it at home, I don't get the same kind of fun and experience like I watched it in the theater growing up. I guess that's because I don't think this movie was meant to be a DVD or home video movie. It was actually meant for the big screen. And I hope somebody does re-release this film on the big screen, because you bet your bottom dollar I'd go back to relive those childhood memories. So I give King Kong 2005 an 8.5 out of 10. I don't think it's still the original, which is kind of funny because, let's face it, the original is always better. But as far as remakes go, the 2005 movie would have to be my favorite. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please subscribe, comment below, let me know. This is LTM signing out, and I'll see you guys next time.
I'd like to go on record as being opposed to the use of violence for purposes of conflict resolution. However...
Yo, Joe! What the hell are you doing here, pansy?
We're gonna break your legs, Joe.
It's for your own good. Come on, guys, get out! All right, then. It's all coming together.